Off we go. Okay. Thanks for joining us for another Courage to Change podcast. I am joined today by Michelle Hash. Thank you very much for being here. You are actually our first provider that we've spoken to.
Oh, wow.
I've interviewed a couple of clients and talked with Mike, although I think Mike is bored of me because he already knows I know his stories. But I was really interested to meet with you and just hear more about what you do, um, because I feel like you're another boots on the ground organization that's working with people that are still in active addiction. And
Yes, we are.
so if you want to share like a little bit about your personal history and how you got into this, would be interested to hear.
Okay. Well, I started the first time I ever did anything. I was 11 years old. I smoked. Ironically, I smoked hash. It wasn't on purpose. That's what my friend's older brother had, and it just went on from there. All through junior high and high school, and after, just anything and everything I could get my hands on, get my mouth on, like whatever, and in and out of jail multiple times. Left the state at one point. I'd stolen about a half ounce of cocaine from these guys when they were high on heroin, and that was not a great decision. And so I was running. It was not good. Yeah, so I did. I lived that life. I was unhoused. I was strung out on meth in Arizona. When I left the state, I ended up in Arizona, in Tempe, Arizona, and ended up unhoused, homeless and strung out. And my aunt happened to be driving by who lived down there and saw me.
Wow.
She picked me up, and within 4 or 5 hours, I was on a plane back to Seattle. She reached out to my parents and like, you have to bring her home. I was 22 or 23 years old at the time. And it just went on from there. I stopped all white drugs a year before I actually got completely clean. And then January 27th of 1992, I woke up on a Sunday morning and I could get around 90 days. Like my parents had put me in rehab in 1985 when I was 17. I was in high school. Got kicked out, went again, made it about 45 days and got kicked out. And anyway, I had been in and out of recovery, just such a revolving door for me. And could get around 90 days at times and then just blow it up. And my last drunk, I was with my girlfriend at the time, my partner, and we were at a Mexican restaurant. She got up to use the bathroom. And by the time she got back, I had downed 2 shots of Jack and about half a beer. And she wasn't gone that long. And it was just on and cracking. I will say this about that. It was not a horrible evening that time. Well, not like all the other times where I woke up in jail. I think that probably is one of the more fearful things that had happened to me is waking up in Pierce County Jail and having no idea how I got there. None. Because of blackout. And then just drugs. So I cleaned up. January 27th of 92, I woke up. I remember it was a Sunday. I woke up and I'm like, and I knew in every fiber and core of my being that I would never get high or drink again. I don't know what happened. God, I wish I did. I would bottle it and give it away for free to everybody. I do not know I don't know what shifted. I just knew it was a complete and total paradigm shift through my core. And within 24 hours, I left my girlfriend. She was awful. I left her. And I moved into my great grandma's. And I will say this about that is that living with her was amazing because I was really lucky in that I had a warm, loving, calm, and kind home to clean, like all of the things. It was my great grandma, and she loved me. And I just decided that I was going to do everything different because all the times I had tried, I had failed. And I just knew there was not another failure in me. I just knew it. And so I decided to do everything different, and I did. I did. And at the time in 1992, what was really only available at that time was 12 step. And so I got heavy into 12 step. And I mean, I went to, and I kept myself as busy as possible. So I got enrolled full time in school. I was carrying 18 credits in school. And then I had a job at 7-Eleven working graveyard by myself. That was crazy.
Mhm.
That could be a whole podcast in and of itself. But I stayed as busy as possible. And as time went on and the years rolled on and things happened, and have there been times that I've wanted to drink? Sure. I've spent 20 years of I now have 34 years in recovery, and I spent 20 of those years bartending.
Wow.
And I, I didn't realize, that all of the boundaries I learned as a sober bartender, I would be pulling into the field now working as an addictions counselor.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I didn't realize that. I've been doing this almost 12 years. And I had initially gone to school when I first got sober to do this job. And that's just another story. It did not work out well. But the agency I worked at, the director and the co-director were embezzling,
Oh, nice.
and I got them turned in.
Oh my goodness. So wait, well, tell us all what it is that what's your title or your position right now?
So it's substance use disorder professional. It's this
Okay.
giant title. I'm an addiction. I just tell people I'm an addictions counselor because everybody gets that.
Yeah.
They get a frame of what it is that I do. So that's usually what I say. And so I came into this field. I had been a journeyman painter at one point. I bartended for 20 years, part time, full time. I sold Harleys for a long time. And then I came into this field. I went back to school at 45 to do this, and back in 2012. And excuse me. And I went on to, I've left the field a couple times. Never, ever, ever because of clients. Never. Only because of the bureaucracy and the bullshit in my field, and often from administration above me.
Can you give an example without maybe blowing everything up or naming names? Just kind of an example of something that you, with lived experience, would have disagreed with.
The way clients were treated, the varying rules where one person would be kicked out. I am harm reduction to the core. I just am. I think that abstinence, of course, that's a great goal, but I think abstinence is also a really narrow door to try to push people through, right? Where harm reduction is something that is a wide door that many people can walk through at their own pace and their own way, of course, with some guidance, right? Hopefully, they're connected with a professional in the field that can help support them and shine a light on their path.
I think that it's got a stigma in the 12-step community because of our traditions and not wanting to take an easier, softer way. Right. It's like we're
let's remember too that Bill W. and Dr. Bob wrote these in the 30s regarding alcoholism.
Right.
And I will tell you that today, although I do work currently for a methadone clinic, I've been there almost 2 years. The opioids are definitely an issue. It's kind of, if you want to take it down to its base core, it's as if heroin or opioids will fuck up your life, in 6 months to a year, where alcohol could take a lot longer. But because alcohol is socially accepted, there's far more alcoholics in this world than there are opioid addicts.
Right.
And people really sort of don't see that or seem to not, because they don't hear about it as much. They hear about the opioid crisis. And
if you could buy heroin at the grocery stores, we wouldn't look at heroin addicts.
Well, and I'm a huge believer in the legalization of all drugs. People should be allowed. Alcohol is legal. How is it any different? People should be, if they choose to, they should be allowed to do drugs in a legal and safe way.
Well, I mean, and technically they do. Every medicine we have is a derivative of a natural substance.
Correct.
Opium, THC is. So, I guess it's where we still have the law of public intoxication. So, I'm hearing clients complaining that they're on the bus and they're, getting fentanyl smoke blown in their face. The bus driver doesn't do anything about it, and they can't even call the police because they won't do anything about it. So, I don't think that people in the recovery community would agree that just open use is necessarily okay, but the legalization is
Legalization and open use are two really different things,
right.
right?
And that's a big distinction.
And it's a big distinction. And it won't happen because, if the pharmaceutical companies could have co opted the alcohol, they absolutely would have, right?
Yeah.
And so the pharmaceutical companies are going to make their money. So, anyway, that's a whole kind of a different topic. But I know one of the things that you wanted to talk about were sort of some systemic issues I see in my field.
Yes, and then I guess I cut you off before you got a chance to say you were talking about kicking people out for one reason and then not kicking somebody out. So just kind of like uh, the issues that you had with the bureaucracy in certain companies would be where maybe your supervisor didn't understand the minds of the clients that they were serving.
I think that there are times when people expect an addict, because now they're an inpatient, they've been there for 3 days, they expect them to be a completely different person. And changing your thoughts and your emotions and your behaviors, like that takes a lot of time and concentrated effort. And it sure as shit doesn't happen in 28 days, I will tell you that. Inpatient should be a minimum of 90 days. Minimum. And that's still falling short of what it really takes. But at least you could work and manifest some goals in that time, right?
Yeah, especially with people that have used since they were, in middle school.
Which a lot of them are. And I will tell you the two, not that you asked this question, but I think it's worth sharing. The two things that I've learned in this field that have surprised me more than anything is, one of them is why people relapse. Like the number one reason, because it's a question I always ask, right? Of course I ask that question. Boredom. That's the number one reason. Now, there's lots of reasons, but that's the one that I have heard in my lived experience consistently for 12 years is boredom. And the other, and now there's more things that go into boredom, but boredom is what they say. And the other one is how many men have been sexually abused. I had never really thought about that. That had never really occurred to me, how many men have been sexually abused. And it's shocking to me. And it's something that I think our culture should acknowledge and doesn't talk about and doesn't think about.
And do you think that it's the PTSD and the trauma that comes up and that causes them to relapse over it?
I know that plays a part. I know that my addiction. I have sexual abuse in my background as a small girl, and one of the things though that was, I think, one of the biggest drivers, because it's a lot of it is about feeling any other way than you feel in your skin.
Yeah.
It's like wanting to unzip your skin suit and step the fuck out of it, right? Because it's so goddamn uncomfortable in there. And mine was really a huge one, was the shame around being gay. I knew I was different when I was really little. And as time went on, then I learned, 10, 11, 12 years old, I learned what like being gay meant. I'm like, oh my God, that's me. Fuck. Now what do I do? Oh, it was terrifying.
Yeah.
Terrifying. And I lived in Auburn, Washington, and I graduated high school in 1985. I was not coming out while I was in school. There's no way.
Yeah.
But I did a year later. And you drop a bomb and you hope that when the dust settles that everybody is left standing. But for me, many people were not. Well, that's a tough one.
The guilt and shame card, I know that the clients carry.
Yep.
Those emotions are really hard to shake.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting. I tell the clients not to do much research on why things happen. Just keep moving forward, and see them in that moment. But yeah, I'm curious to hear. So you transitioned, you got your degree, went back to school in your mid 40s. and then you got into, did you go right to THS?
No. I've worked at multiple places. And then I also lived on the east side of the state in Spokane
Okay.
for 5 years. I just moved back 2 years ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I left here in 2019.
Okay.
Yeah, so I got back here and then I went to work for THS,
And so,
which is Therapeutic Health Services,
yes, thank you.
methadone clinic.
And then, so that's medically assisted treatment.
Correct,
MAT.
Matt.
Do
Yep.
they ever call it medically assisted recovery? I mean,
Not to my knowledge, no.
okay.
It's basically it's actually what we call it is OMT, opioid maintenance therapy.
Okay.
So, there is that stigma in 12 step about replacing one drug for another.
Mhm.
But I think the thing to really understand about this, and I don't know why people don't, is that you can have it's medically assisted treatment. Like it is exactly that. You're seeing a provider, you and the provider are adjusting your dose according to what you want it to be. Many people start to slowly withdraw after they have gotten their life back together and things are going well and da 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 da. And then they decide to titrate down over a period of time, which is the smart way to do it. A little bit. You didn't become an addict in a month.
Right.
It's going to take time to withdraw from this because what we don't want to have happen is for you to have withdrawal symptoms and for you to have cravings. Cravings are the big one.
Mhm.
People can manage like minor withdrawal symptoms. You can manage that, but cravings are really hard to manage. So, people often ask me, how long are they on it and how long does it take to get off of it? And it varies widely. You can have a little teensy. Now, I will tell you that with fentanyl, the doses for methadone are a lot higher. And I kind of explained it to clients like, think about a sock, a pair of socks you love. And the more you wear them, the more worn out they get. And finally, those socks are falling down because there's no elastic left. And that's kind of like what happens to your receptor sites. The heroin filled it up. But when the fentanyl went in there, it really stretched out that receptor site. So it takes a lot more methadone to manage.
So what is a normal dose for a heavy fentanyl user? Where would you start them?
Well, everybody starts about the same. They start at about like 50, 60, 70. So day one would be 50 milligrams, day two, 60, day three would be 70. And then they need to be at 70 milligrams for about 4 or 5 days. They come see a provider. The provider then bumps them another 15 milligrams. And you can do that every week. You can keep bumping 15 milligrams. So you can go 60 milligrams in a month. So if you start at 50 and a month later, you could be about 100, 110. And that's not almost always never enough for somebody who has been doing fentanyl and they're smoking 2 and 3 grams a day of fentanyl. Like it's no joke.
Yeah.
And then if they're using methamphetamine while they're on methadone, that really cuts down the effectiveness of methadone. So if I really try to get them when they're on a higher dose of methadone and they're not doing any fentanyl, their UAs are showing that, right? But they're still doing meth. I'm like, look, you could probably reduce your dose of methadone if you like start cutting down and getting out of the methamphetamine. It's not doing you any favors anyway. These are all the things we work on.
Is that common? Do you see that with the clients is that they're using meth over fentanyl if they're on methadone, or is it really just?
I mean, I don't know that. I mean, what's common is that they'll be around 60, 70 milligrams of methadone and just stay there and still do fentanyl and still do methamphetamine. And that 60, 70 milligrams isn't really doing much. It's maybe softening the sharp edges of withdrawal a little bit, but not much. And they're intermittent dosers where they're dosing maybe 2, 3, 4 times a week because they're out running and gunning and smoking fentanyl.
Yeah, it seems odd. Like, what's the point of the medically assisted recovery if they're not actually involved in the program?
Because everybody's at a different place, right? Everyone's at a different place. And so, those are the clients that I put a dose hold on and then talk with them. And I'm getting the rest of the team to do that as well. Like, those are the clients we really need to start going after to get them like, hey, come on. If we get your dose up, you could stop smoking fentanyl and most likely it'll reduce the methamphetamine. Generally, they do reduce the methamphetamine. They still might be doing it, but they reduce it because they're not out looking for fentanyl anyway. And fentanyl has meth in it. Meth has fentanyl in it. I mean, it's just kind of a hot mess out there right now.
Yeah, and extremely dangerous, I would imagine,
Yeah.
to mix all those.
And so, then we can start working on getting you some housing where you have a safe place. Because here's the thing is that people, when they're out on the street, especially as a female, it's imperative to stay awake
Yeah.
and alert because there's a lot of sexual assault, a lot of physical assault. Like, you're just trying to survive, man. Like, go spend a night on the street. It's a horrible, horrible way to live.
Yeah.
Horrible.
Yeah, it's a lot easier to do that living in a cardboard box if you are intoxicated. So
Yeah.
without clean sober housing for the person to go to, it's probably nearly impossible for that client to stay sober.
Well, and our system is set up in such a way that the system, honestly, the system is set up to do exactly what it does. So it's not even that the system is broken. It's that the system we currently have, is not the right system. It's just not.
Mhm.
And there are pieces within the current system that are difficult to navigate. It's like very siloed, right?
Mhm.
The federal regulations around privacy, the standards that we only addiction clinicians are held to is CFR 42 Part 2, which is federal, so it's in every state, and it makes continuation of care really difficult. When you go see a doctor, and maybe you need to go see, a couple other dermatologists and a foot doctor, podiatrist, right? You see your primary care and they're like, okay, and then they send out a couple referrals and then you make your appointments and that's that. Really easy. If you come see me and we do an assessment, like, okay, you're going to go to inpatient, I've got to get all this written confirmation from you through an ROI, a release of information that you sign to send it to this one place. And then I need another one to send it to this other place. And then I need another one to send it to this third place. I want to send your assessment out to at least 3 places to get you a bed as fast as I can.
Mm.
And then once you're there, I need another ROI in place to then talk to your clinician, whoever it is, if they want to communicate. Like, anybody I'm going to talk to, I have to have an ROI in place.
Yeah, and I don't have to do that with my doctor.
No, and it just, for continuation of care, it's a big hurdle.
And that's what you mean by the silos, is that the different entities have a harder time communicating with each other.
That's part of the reason right there. Yeah. And then also just, you don't know, there's a lot of grassroots organizations out there. There's no I think what would be lovely is a multi-care approach to addiction where we have a detox, 10-day detox, we have a 90-day inpatient, and then we have recovery supported housing. Low barrier housing is good, except at low barrier housing, the way the grants are written is that I can't ask them, hey, you're still smoking fentanyl. I can't come to that person and ask them if they want help, if they want my support, if they want this or that. I have to wait for them to come to me. So then it just becomes this big den of a bunch of fentanyl smokers,
right,
which is helpful to no one.
Trap house,
like a tax funded trap house, exactly.
Well, and so we keep doing these things with the wraparound services, and
we've been trying.
Yeah, so the client has very little incentive aside from if they're trying to get their kids back or their life back, they're something to live for,
right?
For them to step out and say something needs to change. I almost feel like the way we have a system set up right now is just enabling them, to continue on this path. But so with that one-stop shop that you kind of are describing, that could be something immediate. What else do you see as the way we have this now? How is the system failing?
Medicaid needs to allow for 90-day treatment. Like, it's difficult. As the counselor, you have to reach out to the insurance company and you have to get prior approval for this person. And sometimes that prior approval is given for 5 days or 7 days.
Yeah.
And I have to do it week after week after week after week if they're going to stay there for 90 days. Like, it's such a nightmare.
Well, not to mention the detox centers. The insurance companies are still only paying for them for the equivalent of what heroin or, like fentanyl stays in your system a lot longer.
A lot longer, yeah.
So the insurance runs out before the client's fully detoxed.
Right.
So we're basically, sabotaging these kids, humans before they even get a chance.
Yeah.
They're seeking sobriety, we're not giving them an opportunity to get it.
Yeah. Well, and this is why, and I could go on and on about our current administration, the federal government, and what a pile of shit. But I find a way, all of that to say, it's the system I have currently, right? And so the client doesn't need to know all the bullshit that surrounds that and how complex and difficult it can be. Like, that's my job to manage it. And so I do, and I manage it. And, the Snohomish, the Carnegie Center, sends out a Snohomish County resource guide, which is really comprehensive and pretty good. It's better than what I've seen in King County. I mean, King County, I haven't worked in King County since 2019, so maybe there's something different now, but you only really know these things if you've been in the field for a while. And like, I've made connections with you guys, and I made connections with some other people in Sound Pathways and different thing. We're having the big resource fair. I wish I could go to that. I have to work, but we're going to have a booth down there, and I'm really excited for that. Yeah.
Well, until we can actually get some funding going in the right direction, it's just a bunch of providers with really great ideas.
With really great ideas, yes. It's not. I doubt that I'm the only one that feels this way. I'm sure there are others. I just bitch about it out loud to people, and
But you're
hopefully they
also not
listen.
sitting behind the computer. You're sitting face to face with the addict that's asking for help.
Yeah. Yes, and I would love to be able to provide it in a much more seamless way. I don't understand why it can't be more seamless. Like, why does it have to be so monkeyed up? Yeah, I don't know. The thing with medically assisted treatment is what it does is it helps people get their life back. And at this point, methadone's been out for decades, and there are, I'm sure, millions of people that could attest to that. Right?
Yeah.
And I have clients that have earned up to 27 carries, which means they only have to come to the clinic once a month, and they dose at the window and they pick up, 27 carries and off they go. And, that's great. And they've got their home, they have their children, they have their partner, they probably have a job. Like, they've been able to get all of these things back. And once you get stable like that, then let's talk about, titrating down if that's what the client wants. It's client driven. We're not working on my timeline.
Right.
It's not about me. It's about what works best for them. And every time I see clients, one of the very first questions I ask is, how's your dose? And if they're like, I just feel so tired, I said, okay, then let's go see the doc and have it dropped. And that's like a 5-minute visit with the doc. We got 2 providers on site Monday through Friday. See a provider, get it dropped, whatever, and see where you're at. Go talk to them about it.
Yeah, and I was taken by this too. How many clients are you guys serving on a daily basis?
Right around 900.
900.
Yeah.
And how many staff members do you have?
There's like probably around 40 people in the building. We have 10 counselors, 2 clinical supervisors that supervise the counselors. I'm the lead clinician. There's 3 people at the front desk. There's a site supervisor. There's
So in your
4
position,
mental
does
health.
that mean that you're fielding the questions that are coming off of the other providers?
Yeah, I train the newer clinicians because it takes a couple of years in this field. And I will tell you this, that I have worked in all facets of the field. And when I moved back here and was looking for a job, I'm like, I want to try methadone. I don't know a ton about it. I get bored easy. Like, I'm kind of bored. Why don't I go learn something new? And I have to tell you, man, it is a lot. So I tell the clinicians that have been doing the methadone for a while, and they've never worked anywhere else. I'm like, you are going to be amazed at how much easier it's going to be for you if you ever leave here out there, because methadone is complex. And then we have a dispensary that has 5 or 6 nurses in it. Yeah, 4 or 5 mental
Well, it
health
sounds like a
people.
lot of moving parts.
It's a lot of moving parts. It is. I mean, I work 410s, which I requested.
Yeah.
That was a hiring condition for me, because that's the schedule that works best for me. And I mean, from 5:30 in the morning, the UA department's calling me, or the dispensary's calling me, and I'm fielding calls about this, that, and the other, and it does not stop until, and it still is going on. I leave at 4, and they're there till, some of them are there till 4:30,
Wow.
and it's on and cracking.
So, and what budget cuts have you guys experienced recently?
I don't know. That I don't know.
Okay. So
Yeah,
nothing's affected you directly then?
not yet. It's
Okay.
coming.
Okay.
It's coming. From what we hear, I don't know.
What's your opinion
It's a
on
bummer.
other medically assisted recoveries? Like,
You know what? I think the more the merrier, because there's never a one size fits all for anybody,
Mhm.
ever, for anything. So if Suboxone works for you, we have clients that we provide Suboxone to. If great, do that. You know, Vivitrol is the 28-day shot, which is basically like a like a steel door over the top of your opioid receptors. Like there's nothing getting in. Vivitrol is great for alcoholism and opioid addiction.
That's interesting. That's
Yeah,
interesting that it works for both.
it does. Yeah.
I would just think that you would need to be working a really strong program if you were going to do the shot because there's nothing ritual. There could, as you probably know, I've heard clients say that there's multiple areas of addiction, not just with the actual drug, but
No, you're
the
right.
finding and the
Yep.
receiving and the taking and
Yeah.
so that's the only thing that worries me about the shot is if they're not working a really strong program that is going to change a lot about their day.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Vivitrol is not something I recommend. Well, first of all, if you're on methadone, you've got to get completely off of methadone to get the Vivitrol shot because it will send you immediately into precipitated withdrawals, which is hardcore.
Tell us what that is exactly. Like, what would someone expect?
It would be so like when you Narcan somebody, what happens, the buprenorphine, a Narcan up your nose, or if you have the shot to give for Narcan, you can do that too, but mostly it's the nasal. It goes right through the blood-brain barrier and it basically forces the opioid out of the receptor sites in a pretty aggressive way. And with fentanyl, you can Narcan somebody 4 or 5 times before they come around. Now, when it was heroin, you Narcaned them once and they were bang, man, and they were not feeling good and not happy, and they're going right into withdrawal because the buprenorphine gets in there and kicks all the opioid out and
Yeah.
starts withdrawal right away, and so they feel sick
Yeah.
and sweaty and
Yeah. The worst withdrawal you could feel in an instant, basically, which is
yes,
why the people will Narcan somebody and jump quickly out of the way
yeah,
because punches can be thrown and
yeah. Yeah, people are
not
not
pretty.
feeling well.
No,
Yeah.
no.
But the thing with
That's-
fentanyl is once you Narcan them, they don't come up quick. Like I said, it'll take 4 or 5 shots of Narcan in like a 20-minute period. They don't come up quick. And you need to keep an eye on them for the next 15, 20 minutes because they could go back into an OD.
Mhm.
Like it pushes it out, but the fentanyl's still up there.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so it's fentanyl is a similar animal to heroin, but it's so much more.
Yeah. How long did heroin take to get out of your system back in the day?
I mean, it could be out, if you're an IV user, a few grams a day, it could be out within a week. Where fentanyl takes time. It takes a good 3 weeks to a month.
Yeah. And I know for a fact the insurance companies aren't keeping the clients in detox that long.
No, the only way, so there's, when you go to, if you want to, so I tell the clients, if you want to go to inpatient and you're set on that, that's awesome. And I will get you there. But first of all, if they're a new client, first of all, we've got to get your dose up and you have to be actively doing that like every single week. And if you come on a Monday and a Friday, you can get it done twice in a week, right? Because we need to get the dose up to where it's therapeutic so that when you go to detox, you'll stay there. You're not going to bounce on day 2 because you're in withdrawal.
Right.
So first we got to do that. And that's going to take about 2 months. And then it could be a little bit less, but it's about 60 days. Then we'll get you to detox. Even if you're still using some fentanyl and meth or whatever, we'll get you to detox. You get through detox, you're still going to probably, your UA is still going to be, because the minute you walk into inpatient, they UA you right then and there, and they get the results right away. And if you're positive, if you come from detox and you're still positive for substances, it's okay, because they know you came door to door, detox to inpatient. But if you think you're just going to walk into inpatient, they are not going to deal with your withdrawal. They're not going to deal with any of
No,
that.
it's not set up like that.
Yeah.
So how long does it take safely to wean someone off of, let's say, 250 milligrams of methadone? What would be like the prudent timeline?
It depends on how often they come and see me or one of the counselors, and they do what's called a VMA, voluntary methadone something withdrawal. I forget what the A stands for. And we talk about, what they want, what they're looking at. And, when someone's like, I want to go 5 milligrams a week, that's kind of a lot. Like, maybe we slow the roll. And how about we do 2 milligrams a week or 3? Even that's kind of a lot.
Really?
Yeah. To go
Wow.
2 milligrams every week. Yeah. By week 3, you're probably going to be feeling it.
Okay.
A bit.
Wow.
Yeah. It can be a slower process. It also depends on your metabolism, your body weight, how active are you? Like, if you have a physical job, you're going to feel the withdrawal sooner than somebody who doesn't have a physical job. Somebody who like sits behind a desk all day, right? Because your body's moving a lot and you're being busy and, physically active, it's going to metabolize faster.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just let people, and I'm like, look, at any point we can pause this. If you start feeling dope sick, we pause it.
Or having cravings.
That's a big one, right? At any point we could pause this and renegotiate and talk about what might work better for you. I would like to see someone do like 2 milligrams every 2 weeks. I think a week, it's a lot. If you're 250, you can drop a bit, but from what I hear consistently from clients, the last 10 milligrams are the hardest.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. And you were talking about oh goodness, my mind's all over the place. Wraparound services, low barrier housing. Trying to think what else I really want your opinion on. I obviously have my opinions. But I actually didn't really have one about methadone, except for my experience in 12-step, which has had a stigma against basically anything.
Well, they have a stigma against addicts, against drug addicts.
Well, that's true too. Yeah.
That's what I noticed. And I'm like, what does it matter?
Right.
Like, addiction is this big umbrella. And underneath that umbrella is a variety of addictions. And how it plays out in your life, everybody's story is similar but different. And it's theirs. And why does anybody care that they're doing medically assisted treatment? Why would you care that this person over here is doing that? Not you,
right,
but like,
and I remember your analogy of if you go to the doctor, with a broken shoulder and they send you off with a prescription, nobody's judging you.
Right.
They're actually patting you on the back saying, way to take care of your health.
Yeah, way to take care of your health. So medically assisted treatment, how is it any different than somebody taking their diabetes medication?
Right.
Or, medication for anything that they might be on? How is it any different?
Maybe because it makes you feel good?
But they don't, it's not the type of opiate that gets you high.
Okay.
It's not, it doesn't activate that way. It does fill the receptors, but it fills it it just has a very different mechanism than opioids do. Like, I've had multiple kidney stones and they give me oxy. It makes me feel really good. I'm also very cognizant of the fact that I'm in recovery, blah, blah, and I don't abuse it and I'm not selling them and da, 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 like all the things, right? But it makes me feel really good. I've never had methadone, but from everything I know about it, and this is coming from medical professionals, it's coming from clients. I take the word of the clients often, because it doesn't get you high. It takes away the cravings and keeps the withdrawals away.
Mm-hmm.
And that's its job. That's what methadone is supposed to do.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess if you took whole bunch of it, maybe. I don't know.
Well, and once the client is stable, then they can start digging into, the systemic causation, the trauma, the PTSD moments and those things.
Hmm.
But I don't feel that any of the wraparound services are going to work until the client is stabilized.
Well, that's the thing, is like we have to get them, we've got to get their minds somewhat clear, right? And I've watched it happen again and again and again. I've had clients reach out to me from 8 years ago, and they're still in recovery. And they want to thank me. And I'm like, well, you're very welcome for the really tiny part I played. You're the one. You're the one who made the decision day after day after day after day to not use. So I am applauding you, friend.
Yeah.
Like, you're the big deal, not me.
But you are a huge support in that stabilization.
I do
So
support them. Like, that's my whole job. I learned early on in my field to stop saying the word help, because with men, I just felt like there was an edge. There's like an edge to that with them. Like, they did not like it when I said the word help. And I'm like, and to me, like, words really matter.
Mhm.
I try to pick my word, like the most precise words I can. And shifting it to the word support made a huge difference. And that's really what I am. I don't like to think I need help either. Like, that's how I roll as well. So I get it. But support, yeah, because we're doing it. Support, just to me, it denotes like we're doing it together.
Mhm.
Like, I'm right here with you.
Yeah, because they really, as we all know, they have to do it on their own. They have to want it.
Yeah, they do. And if we can get them in a place where they're not dope sick, that's the big thing, because being dope sick will drive you back to the drug ever. I mean, and people aren't even getting high anymore.
Right.
They're just not getting dope sick.
Yeah. Yeah. I think if we went out and interviewed with people unhoused on the streets that are in active addiction, all they're trying to do is avoid the sickness.
Yes.
That's the main motivator.
And that's
they would take it out if they had one.
Yeah.
And
that's the piece. Like, that's where methadone can come in and really support somebody, because they can have fentanyl in their system and they can get methadone.
What happens if they test positive? You just kind of adjust their level. They don't get kicked out of the program.
No, they don't. No, they don't get kicked out, because again, it's harm reduction.
Right.
And people can have all sorts of opinions about it. But here's the thing. This is like the point that I try to make, is it's not your fucking recovery.
Right.
So stop it.
Yeah.
Like, stop. It's not, you're doing your recovery and it's working excellent for you. And because it's working excellent for you, doesn't mean it's going to work excellent for every other person. Like, your experiences are yours, and your life is your life. Do what works best for you.
Right.
And if abstinence, that's how I came up, is abstinence. If that is what it worked for me, it doesn't mean that I think everyone else has to fit that mold.
Yeah.
Right? Now, is there more that we can do as a society? For sure. For sure. There's a lot more that we can do that could really support people. And the number one thing is housing, and not low barrier. I understand the concept of low barrier, and I don't necessarily disagree with it, but there's a time and a place. And maybe low barrier as they're coming to our clinic, but once we get them into recovery, then if they choose not to go to inpatient, that's okay too. I would prefer that they go, but there's people that have been 15, 20 times. They don't want to go again. I get that. But now let's put them in recovery supported housing, not low barrier, but recovery supported housing where everybody in there is in recovery. Right? And they're doing things together in there, because peer recovery, having peers in recovery with you, is huge.
Yeah, that's where I'm always surprised. When I look at our stats, that 40% of the clients that graduate from Nick's Place come back. That's a huge number.
That's a huge number.
And they love. I mean, it's a bunkhouse. They're right on top of each other, but they love that
camaraderie. Yeah.
And the support and the accountability. And they've got people watching them, and they're watching. If they start to isolate or have behavior, because usually the relapse happens a week or so before they actually pick up.
Yep.
and they've just had that extra support. Addicts do not do well in isolation.
No, they don't. And nobody does.
No. And so I guess that's my biggest complaint with the low barrier side is that, gosh, you're just putting somebody in a room to overdose basically,
Yeah.
and if the counselors aren't even allowed to ask if they're using, what incentive does the client have? And I don't know, it's just, I battle with this one a lot.
Yeah.
Because I think that, shelter is obviously a human essential need.
It is. We all have the right to a home, whatever that looks like, right? A safe place to lay your head at night where you're not going to get raped, you're not going to get beat, your things aren't going to get stolen,
Yeah.
because that is what happens all of the time out there, all of the time.
Yeah, or worse.
And men are getting sexually assaulted by other men.
Yeah.
Women are getting sexually assaulted by, like, it's just this perpetual, horrifying awfulness. And addiction has a dark energy to it.
Mm-hmm.
And people don't want to necessarily live in a dark energy. And will there be those outliers that are hardcore and want to? Okay, then that's okay. They also get to make that choice. But let's create an opportunity for all of those people who don't want that, which is by far the vast majority that don't want to live like that, and get them somewhere, whether it's inpatient or into recovery supported housing, where they have support around them. We've got care coordinators and healthcare coordinators there, so they get healthcare needs met. They can get they can get to the doctor, they can get to the dentist, they can get to the food bank if they need that. They can get their kids back, like all of the things.
I mean, because otherwise we're just doing the same thing over and over again.
It's like a meat grinder. It reminds me of Pink Floyd The Wall, that one scene. It's just like this meat grinder.
Well, and so like the clients that we help get into detox, they don't have any insurance, so they're on state insurance, and they go into detox, and then detox, they get kicked out or dismissed or whatever on Friday. Their inpatient isn't until Tuesday, and so if it wasn't for Nick's place, or if it's a woman, we don't have any place for them to go. Yeah. They go back to the streets. They relapse. They get them in again, and so the taxpayers are the ones that are paying for the system to fail.
Yeah.
And we could just listen to the clients themselves or the providers with lived experience. We have a PhD in life, and that's okay. And if they could just make a little bit more decisions wisely. Nick's Place is designed after what the clients have asked for. They said, I need a safe place to stay sober. I don't have any judgment if they do drugs. Not obviously not here, but out in life. I don't judge anybody, but I'm just creating a space so that they can stay sober. This is what they said that they needed, but I have another client living up the street in a low barrier apartment, and she's afraid to go home because the dealer across the hall is banging on her door at 3 a.m, ask her if she wants to buy Fetty.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wait, let's do this a little bit better. How can we do this a little bit better?
It's just asinine to me that the people in positions of power with access to the money are the ones making the decisions without any input from the people on the ground. Your boots on the ground. I'm boots on the ground. There is no input. They just like pull this out of their ass.
Unless it's by design.
Well, I definitely think that there is I definitely feel, that in relation to addiction, you can, religion used to be the opiate of the masses. And that's really gone by the wayside, except for the far-right Christian nationalists. That's becoming quite a thing. Outside of that, though, you keep people sick by a poor healthcare system, which is what we have. We rank low across the world in healthcare outcomes and access. We keep people doped up with drugs. We keep, if the federal government really didn't want the drugs here, then they would stop funding the things that they fund, and they would do something about it. And when Reagan was in office and the whole, everything going on down in Nicaragua, the CIA was the one that was importing the cocaine that was turning into crack. And it wasn't even that long ago. I can't remember if this is 100% accurate or not. I think it was Obama's presidency. That prior to that, if you got caught with crack, you were looking at prison. you had a gram of crack on you, you were definitely looking at prison. If you got caught with a gram of cocaine, it was a slap on the wrist.
Right.
And that was racially motivated, 100%, right?
100%.
Because the black community was smoking crack, although I was a big crack smoker back in the day. But and white people were doing cocaine.
Sure.
And that was, I mean, that's just a small piece of a much bigger
Yeah.
pie.
I know it's really
Sadly.
unfortunate because the longer I worked around this industry, and the more I found out, the more discouraging it is when you see that they can't be this stupid.
No, no. And the thing is I get up, I go to work, and I do everything I know how to do. I access the things I know how to access, and I support the clients to the best of my ability. There's probably a lot more I could do. I'm loud. I have a voice. I have no trouble public speaking. Like, that's not a fear of mine at all. I should probably really do more. Being on your podcast, it was really lovely, and thank you. I'm really grateful that you felt that my voice was important enough to be heard. Um, but there are a lot of things and again, it's this grassroots piece, right? Which you guys are that, right? And there's a lot of places out there that are, and there's a lot of power in that,
Well, yeah, and with the providers together, if we come up with a bill or something that we can all agree upon and see if we can actually get something shifted, if not changed.
Yeah.
Just slightly and for the better. And because this population, I feel like it's looked upon as disposable. And
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Addicts are not garbage people.
Yeah.
And they're not
It's
disposable.
somebody's kid.
They're human beings that went way off the other way, and we can bring them back. It's someone's mother, father, daughter, son, brother, sister.
Yeah. And I've seen clients that have had all of their things, the car, the house, the life, and it all disappeared in 30 days.
Yeah.
With a good old meth habit.
Yep.
Everything that they worked for their entire lives.
Gone.
But I don't think that more people know if you go to jail, even for 24 hours, you lose your food stamps, you lose your SSI, your driver's license. When these guys get out, they're starting from scratch.
Yeah.
It's very difficult.
And that's another big barrier.
Yeah. So that's why, organizations like yours and what you're doing is so important, because you are literally working face to face with these individuals and you're hearing their needs. And you're not letting them walk all over you.
No.
They're not mistaking your kindness for weakness.
No. I again, like, the boundaries I learned being a sober bartender, it just always amazes me how much I pull from that experience into this field. But I mean, yeah. So I I feel hopeful. I have not lost my hope. There are times I lose my faith, but I have not lost my hope. And that's what pulls me back, is knowing that, like, this is what my soul, where it wants to be right now, where it has wanted to be consistently for 12 years. And I have left twice. But I always come back, because I just feel like, God, if it isn't me, then who?
Yeah, it's not an easy job.
No, no, it's not. And there are days I go home and I cry, because my heart, sometimes, man, God damn, some of the things I hear is just tragic. Especially around the holidays. I've got a big family, and, we do Thanksgiving, we do Christmas, and we have a big, lovely family to be around, and they have nothing. They have nowhere to go. Nobody's really wondering about them, or maybe there are, but they don't know about it. Like, it's just heartbreaking. And then the trauma, like the stories that they share with you. And I've had men break down sobbing at my desk, because they're in their 40s or 50s, and I'm the first person they ever told about the sexual abuse. And so you just hold space, and you just hold still and let them. I've got Kleenex in there, and just let them be, and maybe go get them a cup of water, and just let that be. And I can refer them. We have mental health there, which a lot of addiction agencies don't have mental health in the building. Luckily, we do.
Yeah, that's essential. That
It
just
is
really
essential.
Yeah.
Marrying those fields is essential. And yeah, so I feel I feel really pulled to this field, and I feel really grateful, especially when something really wonderful happens. And maybe it was like some random thing I said to them at some point that like was a shift. You never know what you're going to say to somebody that is going to like bring about a paradigm shift, or you never know.
Mm.
So I do a lot of listening,
Yeah.
but I also speak as well,
Well, and just like with your story, you just woke up one day and something shifted.
Yeah, I don't
And
know
I'm sure you
what
had
it
gotten
was.
plenty of shenanigans beforehand.
Oh,
Any
yeah.
one of those could have stopped you, but it was just making a decision in that moment. And but the support that you offer is essential, because without there, I don't know if people really understand that these clients, they, like you said, they have no one. They've burned every bridge.
Yeah.
And, just someone else in this universe showing them that they give a shit
Yeah.
means the world.
Yeah. There's whenever you see a client, like initially you have to do an assessment on them, right? And it's like this 22, it takes at least an hour. And one of the questions on it is, do you have any close friends? Because I'm trying to kind of pry into like some sort of peer recovery support or any kind of support they might have, right? Do you have any close friends? And I can't tell you how many times clients have said no.
Yeah. Well, and the friends they do have are probably, from
But they definitely don't consider them close friends, right? Like they don't have any. And then the next question is, do you have family support? And it's often no.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I asked for in case of emergency person.
Yeah, and they often don't have anyone.
Yeah. So then I'll say, "Are you sure nobody wants that hat?" And then they say, "Well, all right, maybe my uncle." But they have written off everyone in their life because they've just assumed that everyone's written them off.
Yeah.
And it's only happened once that I actually had to go on Facebook and actually do some research to try to find a client's family from when he passed away. But it turns out that there were a lot of people at his memorial, and there were a lot of people that actually still cared.
Yeah.
He had forgotten that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sometimes we just need to remind them.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for this.
You're welcome, girl.
Yeah. Is there any other
any other burning desires?
Yes, that's what I was saying.
I knew you were gonna say that. No, I mean, I appreciate being here. For those people who have a stigma against medically assisted treatment, stay in your own lane.
Mm-hmm.
It's not your recovery. Be supportive that the person is doing the best they can in that moment.
Yeah.
I mean, really.
Yeah.
Like you got no skin in the game when it comes to someone else's recovery, right? Like you get to do yours, they get to do theirs.
Right. Well, and your analogy about the antibiotics.
Yeah.
And the word medically is in this.
And it is medically assisted treatment. Like we have 2 providers that write those scripts, and it's dosed out by RNs and in the dispensary, and it's highly regulated.
So you said you're a big proponent of harm reduction. What do you think about harm reduction troops handing out foils, tutors, and bubbles?
I mean, if it's clean stuff, it's better.
Okay.
It's harm reduction, right? So we all employ harm reduction in our daily life just by trying to eat well, drink some water, take a shower, wear clean clothes, hopefully live in a clean home, like reducing the amount of harm that we do to ourselves on a daily basis, right? We know that if we take decent care of ourselves, at the very least, decent care of ourselves, our health will probably be all right, right? So when it comes to addiction, I mean, when IV heroin use, you can't IV fentanyl, not in the form that it's in. But when IV heroin use, I was a huge fan of safe injection sites, which we didn't have, but I wanted safe injection sites because like I explained it to my mom, who's a hardcore conservative Republican and a fucking Trump supporter. Ugh. Um, I said, okay, let's just look at it from a fiscal point of view. We'll just talk about and this was back in probably like 2017, 2018. And I said, you've got an overdose. So you've got the 911 operators that we're paying for. You've got the medics that are coming that we're paying for. And then this is when I was in Seattle. And then they're being taken to Harborview. And now they're going to have to not only address the overdose, but there's probably infection at the site, the injection sites. There's probably that. There could be Hep C. There could be TB. I mean, there could be a whole host. Generally, there's a whole host of other medical issues happening with that addict because there is. And, you could easily be looking at this point, upwards of $100,000. I said, if we have safe injection sites, we have needle disposal, so use needle disposal. We have clean needles to cut down on the spread of HIV, of the Hep C, of anything else, and they're not getting an infection, which happens a ton. I bet you $100,000 would fund a clinic like that for quite some time.
Right.
And that's one person on one night. Do you know how many OD calls they would get constantly?
Yeah.
Tons.
Like right now, as we're speaking.
So we sell people alcohol that is, it's not going to have like any sort of foodborne, grossness. Like it's clean.
Right.
It's gone through all the things. It's sealed. It's the bottle's been cleaned or it's brand new, right? It's like we do all of that. You could walk into any bar, anywhere, or grocery store or 7-Eleven, any mini mart and pick up whatever. And that's okay. But we can't provide a safe place for people to inject where at the very and then there's social services available as well. Where at least we can dispose of their dirty needles. We can help them and like that whole stigma around that's a cultural perception that has been pounded down on us since the 20s when they made opium illegal.
So where's the harm reduction in the foil part though?
I mean, I don't know about the foil part of the harm reduction.
The only thing I can think of is that they're not shoplifting the foil.
I mean, that could be.
That one just feels a little strange to me.
I mean, but the pipe, there's that. But those people are also offering social services as well, right? They're also going out there and talking to them and handing out, like we have a big bowl of condoms at the front desk, right? And everywhere I've worked has had, except for I worked at one private pay, and they did not have condoms at the desk. But I've mostly worked nonprofits and almost always with the unhoused community. And yeah, there's such a stigma around heroin, fentanyl, opioid use, and I would like to sort of push that away and have people just recognize that alcohol is far more damaging, far more prevalent, far more alcoholics out there than opioid addicts. Yeah. And it's available fucking everywhere.
And it's the only thing I believe you can die from the withdrawals from.
That or benzos, like Valium, Xanax, Klonopin, yeah.
I don't think many people know
Stroke,
that
heart attack, yeah. If you're a hardcore alcoholic, detox won't take you. You have to go to the hospital.
That's true.
And do a medically assisted detox. And same with benzos, they won't take you if you're a benzo addict.
Yeah.
So we don't have a ton of those. And when you're on methadone, you cannot be doing you can't do benzos illegally, and you can't drink at all when you're on it. If we find alcohol in your UA, we begin to titrate your dose because the opportunity for overdose between alcohol and methadone is high.
Oh, interesting.
The opportunity for benzo use. Now, if your doctor has prescribed you, some Xanax or Klonopin or whatever, you have to then bring the bottle, not the prescription, but the bottle to the dispensary, and they count the pills in front of you to make sure that you're not abusing them, and then they log that in the computer. You've got to register your meds every time you pick them up. So you can have them legally if you're following the rules. These are DEA and these are federal regulations. That's not just something we made up. Like, these are federal regulations, because if you're on a benzo, we need to know, because if you haven't shared with your doctor that you're on methadone, and he prescribes you a high benzo and you're getting 150, 200 milligrams of methadone,
Yeah.
we could watch you OD right there at the window when you take down your methadone. Like, so it's about safety,
Yeah.
right? We have a duty to not kill people.
Mhm.
So yeah, you have to register those things, or any opioid, any narcotic that you've been prescribed, you have to register it with the dispensary so they keep an eye on you.
Mhm. Yeah, because you've got their best interest at heart.
Yeah, we're not trying. Our whole deal is to get people off the opioids, get them on the methadone. So you start here with the opioid addiction, and then down here is the methadone in the beginning. What we want to do is bring it like this, right, and get rid of the opioid and the methamphetamine, whatever else. I don't give a shit about pot. I don't care. And then here's the methadone. We'll get your life back. And then if that client wants to start titrating down, which generally they do, they don't like being tied to this thing. They don't like it.
Yeah.
Almost always. There are those that choose to stay on it the rest of their life. They're generally at a lower dose. They're usually somewhere between like 50 to 80 milligrams.
Mm-hmm.
And they just stay right there. Okay. I mean, if that's what they want to do, it's not for me to decide, oh, fuck you, we're taking you down. That's not my job.
Yeah.
My job is to check in with you, make sure things are going okay. How's your dose? It's great. If you want to, start with drugs. Nope. Okay, cool. It's your choice because you get to make choices. We currently live with an administration that is wanting to take away, especially take away choices from women, and take away choices that people need to make. And people should be autonomous and allowed to make the choices they want to make, even if that choice is to go out and smoke fentanyl 14 times a day. My hope is that it becomes super shitty and they bring their ass to the clinic and we can support them in making different choices. My job is to shine a light on their path and show them more options because addiction is a dark and dismal, narrow fucking path, man.
Exactly.
That's what it is. You see nothing but black. So I'm here to be a light to hopefully show you some other options that you could have.
Yeah. Yep, that's all we can do.
Yeah. That's what I want. I'm a flashlight, baby. That's what I do.
Love it. Michelle.
Yeah.
Thank you very, very much.
Oh, you're welcome.
Let's do another one. Still follow up.
Yeah.
We have to write some bills for our legislator.
Let's do it. Are you really going to do that?
I would love to. Yeah, and I want to meet with Kara too. All the providers, honestly. Let's
you
get together.
and I and Kara.
All right, I'm going to conclude.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And ctcrecovery.org. See that.